Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. It's Michelle with makingmemorieswithmichelle.com, and as I was making the card today for Casing Tuesday, I thought, why don't I do a video? It's so much easier to explain to you what I'm going to do than write it all out. So on the blog today, there are cutting directions and measurements, but the how to assemble the card and how to do the stamping is going to be right here on the blog, or on the video, excuse me. So we're going to be using the petal palette, and I have to say that this is my absolute favorite, and it is my go-to this spring. I absolutely love this set. It's just beautiful. What I'm going to be doing, I don't know that there's a name for it, but it's a lot of fun. I have a piece of shimmery white cardstock, and if I bring it up close, you might be able to see the shimmers in it. It's cardstock, and it has a shimmery base. I like to watercolor on it, and actually I like to watercolor on it more than I do the watercolor paper. And I'm going to be using the Stampin Write markers in Bermuda Bay and Rose Red. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually color on the stamp. So I'm going to do the leaves first in Bermuda Bay, and I'm just going to add color right where the leaves are. Okay, you want to make sure that you get enough color and make sure that you're getting the leaves and not the petals. Okay, so get a nice coat of color on here. And when you use the brush side and not the fine point, boy, it makes a huge difference. Okay, so I've got a really nice even color there. And can you I have, like I said, rose red, and now I'm going to go and I'm going to color my roses. Okay. And it gets a little tricky right at the edge of the leaves, but just go slow and you'll be fine. And just get a nice even layer. Whoops, got a little close to that leaf, didn't realize I was there. Okay, and for this, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to set it over here for just a minute and back to my shimmery white cardstock. And I have an aqua painter that I have filled with water. And I'm going to give my shimmery white paper a coat of water. Now remember, anywhere there's water is where your ink is going to go. Okay, so you don't want to go all over because you don't want it to spread everywhere. And you want to have a nice coat of water, okay? Because what you are going to do is now take this stamp and set it right here. And you're going to hold it for just a minute and make sure that all of that ink is, ooh, look at my fingernails. Sorry, I've been watercoloring all night. You want to make sure that that ink is spreading out on your paper, okay? Then lift it up. And it's going to continue to bleed for a few minutes, and that's really what we want. So I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to let that go. And this is such a fun technique. I really enjoy it. And while that's kind of spreading out, I'm going to wash my stamp. I'm dropping things in the background here. I'm going to take my scrub and just clean my stamp off because we're going to go back over that. Okay, and set that aside to dry for a few minutes. And while I come over here and assemble the rest of my card, I have some Petal Passion Designer Series paper, It coordinates beautifully, and it's really nice to color on as well. But for tonight, we're just going to leave it on the black and white. And I have 1/8 of an inch margin, so I was being super careful there. And then here's my Whisper White card base. And before I adhere that, I have some organza ribbon. And this organza ribbon, if you haven't used it, it ties the most beautiful knots and bows. So I'm going to snip off a piece of ribbon there. And I'm going to tie a bow right over on the very right-hand corner. Ah, I'm stuck. Okay, tidy that up a little bit. I just want a small bow. And add some fast fuse to the back. And now we can put that on our card base. The other thing that I did earlier was with the framelits that coordinate with this set, I cut out this piece of vellum. And this is going to go right down here at the bottom. And you could get your liquid glue out, but I prefer to use glue dots. And I'm just going to roll a few between my fingers so they get tiny and put it right on the back. You won't see them, where sometimes this is so fine, that fine tip glue pen is such a liquid adhesive. Sometimes it runs out, and I didn't want anybody to see the adhesive. So I'm really only going to add 4 glue dots. And put this right down here at the base. It just adds a little depth and texture to what we're doing. Then I have a tiny piece of shimmer white cardstock. I wanted it to match the flower. And I'm going to stamp Best Wishes right here. Run a bit of fast fuse on the back. And place this right over that vellum. So, oh, what in the world? Okay. There we go. Okay, so you have a little bit of vellum on each side. Now, it looks like I didn't quite have my paper wet enough. But what we're going to do is take the Memento black ink, stick my finger right in it. Well, I'm really going to be colorful tonight. Okay. And we're going to stamp right over our image. How's that? So we've got such a soft background image, and then that black outline is just gorgeous. Let me grab my big shot really quick. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. Really nice. All right. I'm going to run this through the big shot, and I'll be right back. So there I used the layering ovals, and I cut out my flowers. And then I have the scalloped oval that matches. So I'm going to add a little fast fuse there. I line up my roses and add a few dimensionals on the back. And this card is finished. This is a really fun, quick watercolor technique using those Stampin' Blend markers. Now let's see, which way do I want that to go? I think, oh, too hard to decide. I think I like the leaves up on the top. So thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. All of this, all the cutting directions, like I said, are on the blog today. And please feel free to visit my store at www.michelleirene.stampinup.net. Thanks so much for joining me. Good night.